From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic-Con podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zack, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So,
what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic-Con podcast, season 3, episode 14. Recording this on April 6th. We are dropping some big news today. Tons of reviews. There has been trailers dropping all week long. You'd think it's San Diego Comic-Con, but it's not. Every day there's been a new trailer for Marvel, DC, whatever it is. But we're here. And we're ready to go. Your boys, of course, hostess with the mostest, Justin, Nemesis Prime, Zach, Milton the Manimal. What's going on, buddy?
How are you? What up? Good, man. Weather's nice there. Weather's nice here today.
Yeah, I can actually just walk around with just a t-shirt on. It's going to be a fun-filled weekend, as they say. It's Easter weekend. It's Passover. It's also Star Wars Celebration weekend.
Yeah,
missing that.
You know what? And I was just thinking about that actually because we talked today, and you got plans this weekend, but I was going to ask you if we were going to do anything like go live this weekend at all with some Star Wars news, because it should be dropping tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday, right?
Yeah, you could contact PJ from the Sithcast podcast, and you guys can do something. But I would love to, but I'm going on vacation. I will be down in good old Key West, Florida.
Oh yeah, anyone in Key West gonna go? You gonna just,
I know exactly.
Just a wife and go look for comics.
No, I don't even know if there's any
shops.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's any comic shops in Key West, to be honest. So, but I probably wouldn't even do that because it's a small little place. You know, you've been there. It's a small little place. I don't really, I don't really think there's any comic.
I'm gonna figure it out right now.
I'd Google it, but I don't even want to go down that road. Like, I just want to do nothing. I'm probably gonna like delete Instagram and stuff because literally all I would be doing, and I remember this time last year is like when Star Wars Celebration, I was literally on YouTube the entire day watching everything live, and that's pretty much what I probably would be doing if I'm down there. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook may all be deleted just for the weekend. And then when I come back, I'll hear all about it.
You may be lucky.
Next week we'll talk about it.
It looks like there's 3 when I typed in comic book stores in Key West, 3 places came up, but they're all bookstores. Yeah. So they may not have like much of a selection there. But since we're kind of talking about this real quick, just real briefly, I'm looking at the schedule for Star Wars. So Star Wars Celebration. So Friday they got the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase. That's 11 a.m. 12:30. Let's see what else. Making of Andor Season 1. And then Saturday you got Ahsoka at 11 to 12.
That's the only thing that matters.
Star Wars The High Republic live on the Galaxy stage. They're going to talk a little bit about the books, the comics, the audio, and beyond, including all new announcements and reveals from Star Wars The High Republic Phase 2 and a sneak peek of what is to come in Phase 3. And then you got that same evening, Saturday, you got Clone Wars 15-year anniversary panel with all the big names, Filoni and others, talking about how Star Wars came to be, Clone Wars. And then Sunday, villains of the sequel trilogy. So talking about sitting down with Ian McDiarmid, Andy Serkis, Gwendolyn Christie, talking about all their roles in the final chapters of the Skywalker saga. And then a look back at Obi-Wan Kenobi with cast members Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Indira Varma, and Vivian Blair. And then what else do we got? Lucasfilm. So Lucasfilm publishing stories from a galaxy far, far away. So then they're going to be talking about adult age nonfiction books. Let's see, novels to nonfiction.
I would think the only things that are big things are like Jedi Survivor, because that's going to be coming out soon. So we definitely talk about that. Ahsoka, without a doubt. Got to give us some news on Acolytes. I know we completely weren't even talking about thinking of talking about this, but yeah.
This actually sounds good. This other one on the stories, they're going to be giving announcements as well. Reveals for new and upcoming titles from the time of the High Republic to the time of the First Order. But that's all going to be like audiobooks and novels. Then Monday, you got the Bad Batch, which we'll be talking about today. Updates on the Bad Batch. And then you also on Monday have Marvel Comics Presents Star Wars. So all new announcements and reveals about the Star Wars line, Star Wars Visions Volume 2.
Yes.
And that's it.
That should be dropping soon.
Nothing about Acolytes. Nothing about, the Acolyte or whatever.
I What Star Wars Visions should be dropping sometime in the spring anyway on Disney Plus.
Oh, actually, it says. No, it doesn't have a date. Sorry.
I mean, we haven't gotten a trailer, so I would.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably get a trailer and then it'll drop, but it is whatever. But speaking of Star Wars Celebration, should we tell the folks out there the big announcement?
What's the big announcement?
The boys over here at the Comic-Con podcast have an exclusive variant coming out soon.
Which one? Not the. Now I'm kind of confused. So we're not talking about the one.
No, we're not talking about that one. We're talking about
the other one, the
real other one that I've already paid half of it for.
Well, yeah, we're in the community news. Let's do it. Let's set the stage.
I kind of want to keep it still under wraps though. Like I really don't want to tell too much, but I want to let people know that
trailer. Yeah.
The teaser is it's coming out. It probably will only be coming out. It's going to be available probably in literally like a month. Like no joke, probably a month to a month and a half. It is Star Wars related. It is Star Wars character related. It's going to be limited, like stupid limited. There will be regular covers. There will be some virgins, possibly metals, possibly foils. Not really sure yet, but yeah, your boys are collaborating with somebody. And as we get some art, we will show you what it's going to be, and we will be dropping it. Most likely, I'll be selling it on Whatnot. Of course, if people want to hit me up and get a copy, you can obviously get one there. And then we'll tell you who the other collab is, and you can always purchase it from them as well. I'm sure Zach will be selling it on his eBay page or an Instagram page, wherever possible. So that's huge news that we got.
Huge. It's going to be bigly the best thing you've seen in a long time.
It's probably going to sell out everywhere, and it'll probably go nuclear.
Yeah, basically.
You'll see it on eBay for crazy prices. But Zach will have the cheapest. And
I
myself
will.
As well.
On eBay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get right into it.
Cool.
Rocking and rolling. We were just talking about Star Wars Celebration, which we probably should definitely wait till next week to talk all the big stuff. But this week, we just had Bad Batch Season 2 ended last week. We gave everybody a nice good old week to catch up and watch the season finale of Season 2. So we're going to kind of get into Season 2 review. It was 13 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. 12, 13
15.
episodes. 15, yeah. 15 episodes released earlier in the year. So really just getting down and dirty with Season 2, of course, the Bad Batch and Omega coming back. Crosshairs with the Empire. You know, this season, a lot of people have done a lot of reviews on each of these episodes. The viewer rating, and then like IMDb rating, what people thought, the secrets, the reveals, the things that are going on in the background. But for the most part, for me, Season 2, it was probably stable. Like I wouldn't say it was amazing. I would say the amazing episodes were definitely anything that involved Crosshairs and like the clones, not like the Bad Batch in general, but like anything with like Rex when he's on the episodes was really good. Anything, like I said, with Crosshairs was just badass. Like him on that snow planet, him in the beginning where he shoots the guy. Well, that was that episode. But like anything that deals with just Crosshairs, because he's such a torn character. And I remember when I first saw him in that final season of Clone Wars, he was definitely my favorite, without a doubt. And then as soon as you get to Season 1 of Bad Batch, and immediately you're like, oh, he's totally a bad guy. Like he's totally gonna be like the worst of them. Like he'll be the first one to switch. So
right.
And then just someone who I feel like this season really centered on was Tech, right? They totally took Tech and they gave him more upfront storylines, like with him in like that pod racing episode. Like he was given more him with I can't think of the one girl's name, the black or who's kind of like Afro, like she's like a treasure hunter. Like they started to have like a little love interest, so you kind of like start to feel for Tech, like he's actually more than just one of the clones that you would, you kind of like Rex or Cody or Jesse, any of those guys. So you definitely saw that, and man, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, you're right. They did definitely. So like it seemed like, and it wasn't just so. You're right about Tech, but what I also liked about this season was Echo. So because like throughout the first season, right, we see Omega obviously has a relationship with Hunter, right? Because he's the leader. And there's a relationship as well with Crosshair because he's like trying to find her, right? Whether it's a contentious relationship or whatever, they have a relationship. And then you even saw with Wrecker, there's a relationship of kind of like a big brother because Wrecker's kind of like a big dummy, right? So it very much, they were friends together, they're laughing together. But throughout season 1, you didn't really get much interaction between like Omega and Echo and Tech. And you got it first with Echo as well, where she started to kind of bond with them. And we see Echo kind of take off from the Bad Batch, right? And go help Rex and the clones and kind of like really trying to help and prevent these clones from being taken advantage of by the Empire. So Echo kind of disappears and there was like a heartfelt, parting of ways with Omega and Echo. And she was just, because this is her family. And that was kind of her theme throughout the whole season 2. It was like, we're a family, we all stay together. We never part from each other, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then you see with Tech and her, it's kind of contentious as well at the beginning. Tech's kind of cold, right? I mean, that's just how he is. He's analytical. He's logical. So he doesn't really, when they leave Echo, I think when Echo leaves and he's like, no, it's fine. It's like, no big deal. And, there's kind of like starts an issue between her and Tech. And then as the episodes go on, they bond a little bit more. Tech teaches her how to fly. And like you said, you just get a lot more depth to Tech rather than just being the tech guy, the smart guy, the solver of problems. So it was pretty rough, man, that last episode for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of people were kind of confused. I liked even in, I guess it was that episode, The Summit, where all the leaders are, and you see like the animated version of Krennic, of course, from Rogue One. Yeah. You get some of the characters from the old like Clone Wars that were like, what were they? Generals on like on the space stations and stuff like that. So that's cool. Of course, Tarkin's there, and he's Tarkin's Tarkin, basically.
Right.
I did like, obviously, they kind of introduced them in like season 1, kind of brought them over. If you ever played Republic Commando on like Xbox, the old Xbox? Yeah. They've kind of brought those like super troopers, like the guys that like have like they're like jacked up like stormtroopers, like those armored guys. Like those are cool, like because that reminds me of the team that was in Star Wars Republic Commando. And then you just get like little things, like even that episode where you have the Wookiee Jedi, who, if you've been watching these animated series for years, originally was like a younger Padawan in the Clone Wars times. So yeah, I get everything. It was definitely a great season. I think it was definitely better than season 1. Some of the episodes are kind of slow, but that's, of course, if you go back and you rewatch it, you understand why some of the episodes are slower because of the fact that they're building around certain someone, right? Like season 1 definitely was like all Hunter and Omega. And now they're kind of changing it. It was kind of drifting more into Tech and Crosshairs, since he's kind of gone away. Maybe next season you'll see a little bit more stories involving Wrecker, because they have to give everybody their own time. So I get why like Echo left, because again, you have too many clones. Like you have a 22-minute episode. You can't give everybody the right amount of time that they.
And even with Echo leaving, it moves his story forward. It gives him character development, even though he's not there. Because even when he came back, and it shows that, hey man, like Echo's doing his own thing. He's got a mission as well, and now we're working together. Like it's funny, he's not on screen, and you're not seeing him, but he's developing as a character because he's got another mission. Yeah, I mean, all in all the episodes were pretty good. There was really, I can think of like a couple. The one episode like I really was just not paying attention to. It was super boring. Was the when they first get to that like the Pabu city, and there's like a tidal wave or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking he was going to be some creature.
Yeah, that was a stupid episode. And then, but for the most part, I liked the season. I liked the shout outs, to like different aspects of the universe. Obviously seeing Commander Cody again was great. The Wookiee Jedi youngling was fun. Yeah, man, I liked a lot of it. Even Palpatine, seeing Palpatine, that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a good season, man. It was a good season. Yeah, I know Vader, right?
But would be cool too, again, and I think
and Ord Mantell kind of being like more, because when you think Ord Mantell, what do you think of?
Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, exactly. Shadows of the Empire, right? So like every time they talked about Ord Mantell, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm like kind of keeping my eyes out. Like, are we gonna see anything? Yeah.
Yeah, like you're looking for like the junk the
Yeah,
junkyards of that. So
exactly.
yeah, I get it. I think hopefully even in season 3, even if it's not too much involved, they're definitely gonna bring in like I would think like Ahsoka at some point, just for like just to be there and to leave. Doesn't have to be like a whole because it's still very early. Like the Rebels characters, maybe you'll see an episode with Hera because she would be
Mhm.
somewhat starting up like Phoenix Squadron. I would love to see an Inquisitor show up, just somebody other than
Right.
but I get it. It's not a Jedi show, right? It's not meant to be tons of Jedi. We had literally what season 1 had Kanan right in the beginning and his
Mhm.
Padawan or his Jedi Master, and then we had the Wookiee Jedi in this one. So that was really
Yeah.
it. And it's fine. Like I'm good. I like having these different storylines that doesn't involve the Jedi because sometimes that's really what makes Star Wars Star Wars.
Right. The universe, yeah. And we also saw more Saw Gerrera as well,
Yes,
which
yeah.
just continued to be a piece of shit. Like it's just like literally like the worst. Like he's not even you can't even call him a good guy, but he's like the worst. He's the villain of like the Rebels, bro. Like, I mean, he's just a total piece of shit, Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, he's
There's
definitely one of
almost,
those
like, no
characters that
redeeming characters.
he's transcended every season though. He's done
Yeah.
like he was Clone Wars,
Yeah, he's
this
done in everything.
Rebels, Rogue One, like the Jedi Fallen Order game.
Fallen
Like
Order,
he's in
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, he might be like the one character really that kind of like he's the Nick Fury of the Star Wars universe, dude.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
I mean,
let's,
like
go
we
ahead.
have no news on it. We have no news season 3, but like we
Mhm.
said, this weekend they are having a panel about Bad Batch. So if we get any release, obviously there was a bit of a cliffhanger at the end. So maybe this weekend we'll find out the future of Bad Batch. I can look at let me see what your opinion on this is. Like personally, my opinion is like one more season. As much as I like it, I kind of am like, okay, you kind of can only go one more season with this.
Yeah, it depends on how fast. I guess knowing where like Crosshairs is, where Omega is, and obviously we didn't even talk about the big reveal at the end and how it ended was that girl doctor is
Mhm.
Omega, like or
Yeah,
is
like
like
an
another
aged
clone,
version,
just
yeah.
an aged up clone. So that's wild. Like I didn't see that coming at all, even though you could kind of hear her voice, and I'm just like, I did not think that was happening. So,
Yeah. We'll see.
but yeah, so let's kind of get right into out of our TV review stuff. Let's kind of start talking some trailers. So we got a lot of stuff this past week that dropped Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Trailers dropping every day. I kind of feel like it was like one-upping everybody.
Right.
Let's kind of start off with Sundays. We had a first trailer of Secret Invasion. So Marvel Comics, of course, bringing you the Secret Invasion original series coming out on June 21st. Start streaming on that good old Disney Plus service. So yeah, I feel like we got a little bit of a teaser last year at San Diego
Yeah.
Comic-Con, but this is definitely like a full-blown trailer. Definitely you get a lot of Nick Fury, right? Like we
Mhm.
haven't seen Nick Fury in full Nick Fury form since what, like
Captain Marvel.
before-
Captain Marvel.
Yeah. But I'm even in like general like timeline, right? We saw him in
Endgame. We saw
Far
him
From
in
Home.
Endgame. And Far
Right,
From
we-
Home, yeah.
and
Well,
then-
he had the clone. He wasn't. I guess he was in the post-credit scene though, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like as far as him kind of being there, and then we don't get to see him at all in really anything else. So the fact
Yeah.
that like you got Nick Fury coming back. Of course, you got Maria Hill, so Colby Saunders, Ben, what's his name, Mendelsohn,
Mendelsohn, yeah,
Mendelsohn
as
coming
Talos.
back as Talos, which is great because again, character from Captain Marvel.
Mhm.
Which is really awesome. You see, and then you have someone who we recently just saw was Martin Freeman's character, of course.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everett Ross.
Yeah, Everett Ross.
And then the big reveal, and I'm still crazy, and it didn't happen. I was really hoping Emilia Clarke was going to be playing Abigail Brand,
Mhm.
but she's not. She is revealed to be Kiru. What's her name?
Gia,
Gia, the daughter of Talos from the Captain Marvel movie.
Which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's keeping it's keeping in line with what Marvel's done. At least it's not a brand new character, but
Yeah.
I mean this trailer looked badass. Like spies, espionage, hopefully gonna be better than like Captain American and Winter Soldier, like Falcon Winter Soldier, because just from like the trailer itself, I think this is the first trailer that is going to be almost like movie like for
Disney Plus, right?
For Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Like the trailer just looked more like a movie than a TV series, right? Compared to everything else that we've seen.
It definitely had a lot of like it was more serious and somber tone, and it felt like you really felt like, you know, Fury's going to be on the run most of this time, and it definitely felt like the espionage, like you said, and the conspiracy and stuff going on. I think is really cool. The scrolls they're interesting, man. I mean, the shit that they can get into and like trick you on. There's a lot with that. I just, you know, it's the same shit, the same problem we have with Marvel comics, you know, that we seem to have with like Marvel Disney Plus shows is, will there be any like value to it? Will it mean anything? Like, will actually what happened in here in this series, especially with, that's the tricky thing too. Like this is like Secret Invasion was a big storyline in the comics, right? This isn't like WandaVision, right? Where you're just doing a show on Scarlet Witch and Vision. This is like an actual event story, a massive event in Marvel that they actually was like worked up to for a long time. So them just doing 6 episodes of the show and then not having any like staying power would be a massive disservice to like the strength of this and the importance of the Secret Invasion storyline in Marvel Comics. So I hope, man, I hope it really pays off. I'm hoping we still don't know everything. You know, it's fun to know who all's going to be in the show, but I'm hoping for a surprise here or two. We got a little bit more of like the leader of the bad guys of the Skrulls, who unfortunately I feel like Marvel kind of messed up here. Like we have a couple villain Skrulls that you could have used. I mean, they created a new character, Gravik, when you could have used, you know, not to say that I think Super Skrull would have been the one to use here, but you could have used like Pybok. You could have used a lot of other Skrulls that actually have named, like the spec from what's her name, Varanki. There was a lot of talk, and maybe we'll still see that. You know, maybe we'll still see, but I think they're going to be missing something. If I really hope out of this is like the Skrulls, right? Like, so I guess the one thing I'm hoping for the most is setting up some big time Skrull characters like Super Skrull, Varanki, Pybok, some of those. Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see though. Maybe
I agree with you on, you know, the importance of what the comic event did, right, for Marvel.
Yeah,
it's the same vein as like what Civil War did. Like Civil War was a huge event in Marvel Comics universe,
and it changed like the status quo.
Yes, and then for them to name like the Captain America movie after that, you're like, man, it's gotta pan out. Like this has got to be big, right? And it went big, and it was amazing. You know, you left it up to the Russo brothers; they kicked ass. For this, I feel like it's the same thing. Like Secret Invasion is probably one of the best storylines. It involved, I don't even know, but every team, right? There's like that first issue. There's like a page panel that has like almost a shit ton of, you know, Earth-based heroes, street level all the way up to the X-Men to the Avengers, everybody. So yeah, I think Secret Invasion definitely needs to come full force. It needs to really set the tone now for the next Marvel Disney Plus show, or we're going to be, you know, hearing what everybody keeps saying. Oh, the superhero fatigue. Kevin Feige doesn't know what he's doing anymore because he's got characters that are too new and they're doing too much. And
one thing that kind of worries me is, like I said, along the same ideas, if it will have like the importance that it should have, is because we already know that Feige has already stated that Secret Invasion is going to lead into Armor Wars. So it almost feels like that's a cool thing in a way, but at the same time, it's like, okay, so it's just like kind of part one of that. I feel like in a way that doesn't give it its own story and its own importance that it's going to lead into Armor Wars. And maybe I'm wrong. You know, obviously we know we're going to see Rhodey is going to be in this, Don Cheadle coming back. And then Armor Wars will be set up as well. So we'll see, man. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. So out of that, the next day on Monday, we got ourselves a trailer for the DC Studios, I guess the last film in the DC pre-James Gunn era, right? I think this is the last movie. We got Blue Beetles. So, of course, Jaime Reyes gets a mysterious scarab. It binds to him, and it gets this cool blue-looking armor. Of course, I posted it on, of course, the Instagram page for Comic-Con Podcast. And I asked some people to give us some information and what they thought. So, of course, Mike DeBeast Benson, he's been on here. He said he's stoked, happy to see DC characters make his live-action debut. Gabe loved 90s comics. Love everything about this. The Buster Sword was dope. And your buddy Harsh Life Spotlight heard they were supposed to do some filming in El Paso, kept an eye out, but didn't see anything. So
I'm going to talk.
Why don't you kind of start off with the Blue Beetle, because of course he's right up your alley in that kind of neck of the woods. What do you think of it and everything?
Okay, so this is a two-parter, because I thought the trailer looked really, really good. I was super excited about it. Yeah, the Buster Sword, of course, for two Final Fantasy fans, that was like huge. I liked the the tones of the trailer, where of course it was a little comedic, but man, that scene where he was like getting taken over by the scarab at first, I mean, that was almost like Evil Dead type shit. Like that was aggressive, like how it's like going into his mouth. Like it had like some moderate horror themes to it. Like it was painful and like intense. And of course I like Zolo Maraduena as so much. I think he's a perfect casting for Jaime Reyes. But moving on, and like the negatives here, it sucks that they took it away. And obviously being down here in El Paso, it was a big deal, man. There's a lot of like upset, like the community in El Paso was pretty upset about them. I mean, first of all, El Paso doesn't have a lot that gets like glory, right? We don't have a lot of like things. When you think about El Paso, you're thinking, especially nowadays, you're thinking about the border crossers and the immigrants and, you know, stuff down here. And people kind of think El Paso is like this shithole, and it's not. It's not at all. And the community and the culture down here is very rich. And so having a big character like Blue Beetle for a city like El Paso, it's a big deal, man. As stupid as that sounds, it's a big deal. And for them to kind of switch it over to some fake ass Palmera city, which I've heard the other side, people being like, well, you know, DC typically doesn't have real cities, you know, Metropolis, Gotham, Coast City or whatever, you know. So I get it. But then why did you make a real city, you know, for this character? That's so like, look, man, it's just big on the Hispanic community. It's huge. Blue Beetle is a huge character. And especially now, this is what pissed me off. Let me rant a little bit. Sorry.
Go ahead, man. I love to hear this.
So
podcast about.
And this is what a lot of like, this is a conversation down here, and maybe it's not getting in the mainstream because people don't want to talk about shit like this. But the director of this movie has been extremely vocal the past couple of years about his politics. Okay. He's not a Trump fan. He's not a Republican fan. He's gone on record saying that he's from Puerto Rico, and he's gone on record saying that he feels like Puerto Rico are treated like slave citizens of the US. He's also made assassination comments about President Trump. And for someone who really, this is kind of like the era we live in, where I find it so hypocritical and bullshit for someone like Angel Manuel Soto, the director of this movie, to like really be so big on culture. Oh, let's, you know, the community. And this is, you know, we want to represent an inclusivity with our cast of like the Hispanic people. And then you do this movie and you have a chance to do that about a city where the Hispanic culture is predominantly 80% in El Paso, if not more. And then you change it, man. Like it's weak to me. I think it's embarrassing. And I think I think this guy's kind of full of shit. So his exact statements were, the only thing I hope Trump has similar to Lincoln's presidency is the way it ended. And that he made comments on the status of Puerto Rico, claiming that it is a slave colony to the United States. So I don't know. There's some anger down here in El Paso about the change of venue, so to speak, I guess, of this. But, you know, I think this is a good move. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a great character. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with James Gunn's universe, like what will stay, what won't stay. But obviously will probably depend on success of the movie, right? So,
yeah. And that's the thing is with the movies, like obviously Shazam was I saw Shazam. I liked it. It didn't get the money that it probably deserves because everybody is, for us comic fans, are just like, well, it doesn't matter anymore. Like the Snyderverse is gone, but these movies still need to go and be watched, right? Like it's still, it's a great character. Like you said, I'm not a huge fan of Jaime Reyes, but Jaime Reyes was kind of put on my radar with like Young Justice season 2, right?
Huge, right?
Like he was the main focal point of that entire season. Like I knew about him from Infinite Crisis and I read a little bit here and there, but I'm just like, whatever, cool, Blue Beetle. Like I know the old Ted Cord, like that's the one I grew up with, right? But this is where it needs to be. Like you still need to go and watch this movie. It's a kids movie, same thing like how Shazam was, right? Like I get the culture thing without a doubt. You definitely need to go and enjoy the movie. I think graphically it looks awesome. Obviously, where he came from, you know, from the what's the TV show he was on?
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai, yeah. So obviously he's got the martial arts thing, so he could do some action stuff. But yeah, I'm all for it, and I love the little Easter eggs at the end. Like they had the cool Ted Kord costume and even the original Blue Beetle towards the end of the trailer, like I said. And what our friend said in the post was, the Buster Sword. That's what Blue Beetle is all about. He can have all these different weapons.
Yeah.
The Scarab's all about protecting him. Like when he slices that bus in half. Like if you've seen the Blue Beetle comics or watched Young Justice season 2, like that's Jaime Reyes, right? That's Blue Beetle that we've grown up to see. So the fact that they're making this live action and he doesn't look corny, right? Like
the suit looks great.
Like compare him to like Ironheart.
Oh yeah,
boy, like night and day. Like, and I love Riri, and I really wanted Ironheart to do well, but man, they really tanked on Riri's costume until her show, and then I'll say something different. But like now, like Blue Beetle looked so badass, and it was believable. That's the best part about it. Like I didn't think that it was so much CGI where you like, oh, that's CGI, that's CGI. No, that's regular. That's
Do you remember him in? Do you remember Jaime Reyes showing up in Smallville? Do you remember?
Very briefly, yes.
It looked like it was like the last season of Smallville, and the suit was just like absurd. But yeah, way better.
Of course.
Are you looking at it?
No, but I do remember. I could picture it in my head.
It's all bulky and like it looks. Honestly, and this is not a dig on cosplayers, but it looks like someone original There's better Blue Beetle cosplayers now than this costume, which is insulting to.
Oh yeah, now I'm looking it up. Oh God, yeah, definitely. Holy cow, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess that was. Oh geez, I definitely need to. I'll have to check this out when I get a chance to watch like something on YouTube for that.
Go back and watch part of the episode.
Oh God, yeah, I don't even want to know what that was like anymore. Like there was so many characters they introduced on Smallville, like and
Booster Gold showed up in that episode. That was about Booster Gold.
Yeah, that's who he fights.
Yeah.
Just there's so much. Obviously, the Hawks were in there. You have obviously like not Wally West, but Bart Allen was in there. Well. Like everybody.
Cyborg,
Cyborg, Zatanna, who I love because Zatanna was also the same chick who was in Humans, was Medusa.
Yeah.
I always love that. And she was in Tron.
Yeah, man. So Blue Beetle looks good, dude. I'm excited to see it. August 18th. It comes out and it looks good. We'll see. So that's is that next DC movie?
Yeah.
When does Aquaman come out?
Not till like December now.
That's not till December.
Way back. Yeah, it's literally like now that's in August. That's over. This Blue Beetle is over the summer. Of course, we have Secret Invasion, obviously TV show, and we're going to get into our next one. But yeah, I mean the next big one obviously is Guardians of the Galaxy that comes out in May. Tickets are on sale if you have it. If you didn't know, you can go and buy your tickets now. Of course, it comes out May the 5th. So go out and buy tickets if you want. But let's kind of talk about our next one. They just keep dropping trailer after trailer every day. I was really hoping to talk about Transformers. I was really hoping for Beast Wars. We could talk about like 4 different trailers. But yeah, let's talk about Spider-Man Across the Universe. Coming out June 2nd, of course, the one, the only Miles Morales, who can't hold his own title, but can hold his own movie.
Right.
So of course he's coming back, reuniting with my girl Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, and fighting tons of spider people across the multiverse. So the one thing I didn't like about this trailer was that they used the same song from the first one. Like, is that like now his theme song? Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be honest. Whenever I hear that song, I do think of Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's funny. Like one time, my wife was playing that song, and I was just like, kind of like bobbing my head to it and kind of singing. She's like, "How the hell do you know this?" I was like, "Spider-Man."
Yeah.
Animation definitely looks a lot better, a lot smoother, a lot crisper. It still gives you that, that almost like 3D look or like distorted when it's not the main focused characters, which is something that I didn't really like in the first one. So I'm hoping it's not too bad in this one, but just from the trailer, you could tell it is. We all thought that Spot was going to be like the main villain in this, but I definitely feel like it's teasing, right? I think it's teasing. And someone posted this the other day, and I can't take credit for this, so I can't remember who posted it, but Spider-Man 2099 really looks like the bad guy, like red eyes, got the fangs. Like
for sure in the trailer, for sure they make it out like he's the villain.
Yeah. So I definitely think even if it is kind of like that, I think it's more they're more going towards like the inhibitors, which is of course where the whole Edge of Spider-Verse things kicked off with all these characters. This is why the spiders were all brought together because of the spider totem. They of course hunt down spiders and try to kill them, eat them basically for their power. But there's so many characters that we get to see in this, right? Like we even if it's for like only like a second or two, we finally get to see Spider-Punk in action. Spider-Man India's in there. You get to see a little bit more of Spider-Woman, which I feel like if they're still using Jessica Drew, she is pregnant, right? Because you see her with the little baby bump, and she even like points on it. So, but then we got a ton of other spiders that are just wild in the trailer. So, you do get to see the Spider-Man from the video game, if you notice that.
Yeah. I saw Ben Reilly. I saw Kane Parker in there as well. Yeah, there's a ton of them, man. There's a ton. I mean, just it's if you're a Spider-Man, like if you're the Spider-Man guy and you're pausing this, right? And like you're looking at all these characters and like the rafters and shit like that for sure.
Someone
said there's Otto Octavius Superior Spider-Man. But I
didn't see that one. I didn't catch that one, but I'm pretty sure he's got to be in there. Right. And of course, the one thing that's really cool, obviously, when they reference like the MCU, right? When he's like, he says something about, oh, don't talk about that nerd from Earth 999 and that doctor guy.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange. Yeah.
It's just wild, like how they are incorporating everything in there.
Yeah.
And then you get Mayday Parker, right? You get Baby Mayday.
And so I think the thing to remember about this too is this is just part one. So like, I think you're right. You know, I think we're getting hoodwinked here. Like, I think you're going to find Spider-Man 2099 is, you know, the air quotes villain of this movie because he's unhappy with whatever Miles is doing or whatnot, whatever the plot is. But I think you're going to find out at the end, he's either being manipulated, controlled, and we're going to have a big baddie that's going to be part two. And I think you called it before, because I think when I know on one of our group chats, you said it again, and it was familiar to me that it's going to be that it most likely probably be like Moreland, you know, like a character like that really fits with like the Spider-Verse type situation. So,
yeah, I mean, that's again why this whole thing was created. The Spider-Verse teams, like everybody was brought together because Dan Slott created the whole thing and had all the inhibitors, and that was the whole, and the reason why like the original Edge of Spider-Verse and Spider-Verse series is so good because of the fact that you brought all these Spider characters together, you introduced new characters, and they're there, right? So, I'm happy. I definitely think it's going to be an amazing movie. And I know this is of course a touchy subject, but you know us, we don't ever shy away from topic.
Nope.
It's getting a lot of heat. Why is it getting a lot of heat? If you don't know, there is a part in the trailer where you see Gwen in a room, and up on the wall above like this door, it has a poster and it says "Protest Trans Kids."
Protect.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Protect.
No, protest. Jesus, that'd be really harsh.
Yeah. I was thinking of something. I'm thinking of protesting. Protect trans kids. Now, I don't know why, right? I don't know why that's in there. You know, children are children. Like they you know, boys, girls, you grow up, you find out later on in life. But like, who's really the ones to blame in this? Are like the directors? Like, is the cinematographer who like threw that in there last minute?
You just
like,
can't have anything anymore. You just can't have anything anymore. And you know, like it's so unfortunate too, because like comic books,
I know people are going to turn us off at the moment, but like
whatever. Comic books used to be like the escape, right? Like you go like, hey man, like I'm going to read these books. I'm not going to hear about, dude, the world sucks right now. Whether you're pro this topic, let's just say whether you're pro trans or anti-trans or whatever, dude, like, you know, it's just like comic books are like, cool, man, I'm going to go into comics and I don't have to fucking deal with that. But now it's like, we can't have any medium anymore where someone's not pushing like an agenda, you know what I mean? And it's just, and I'm not saying that I disagree with it. I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just saying I don't fucking care in my Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie, dude. Like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like generally. And that would go both ways. Like if it was like, let's say Justin was correct in his verbiage and it was protest trans children. I would also, first off, I'd be like, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
But I would also be like, I don't need that bullshit in this stuff. Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand what the purpose is, man. Like you said, who are we catering to here? Who's the audience?
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure you're going to see a lot. I'm sure you're going to see it a lot clearer in the movie, right? Then you get this literally split-second trailer because, of course, everybody pauses every little second.
Right. I would have never
any little thing, Easter egg, whatever it is. But of course, literally, it drops and everybody starts blowing up about it. It's, you know, is this Miles's room? Is this Gwen's room? Like,
yeah. I just, people are like,
what is it?
I know
about?
people are going to be upset with what we're saying too, and like, well, it brings awareness. It brings awareness. Yeah, okay, do it in real life. You know what I mean? Like, do it in fucking real life. It doesn't have to be everywhere. Like, I don't know. I don't. Yeah. Once again, we got two white guys here that are probably.
I know we always have to
talking the topics.
If you don't know, I'm from Jersey. I'm white. Zach's white. He's from Texas. Not from Texas, but he lives in Texas.
Hey man, at least I'm a minority.
Yeah, we get you a little bit. But it is what it like. We like, again, for the people that are new listening to us, people that are old listening to us. You know, we don't shy away from these topics. We speak it like it is. Whether we agree, disagree, or we don't even have our opinions, we just bring it to the to the masses because you may not know this. So.
It's the news, man. It's going around. Like people are talking about it. There's an uproar about it. So.
Exactly. So again, June 2nd, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse Part 1. They really don't they don't really say that either, too, right?
No, this time they didn't. In the earlier trailers, they did. But you know, I maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't feel like it was expressed in this trailer as much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's definitely going to be a two-parter. They talked about it, so yeah, they really don't they don't show it at the end. So, you know, we'll have to find out what June 2nd, and then all these post-credit scenes that set you up for the next one, whenever it's going. Hopefully, it'll come out next year, right? Like, hopefully it's not like a 2-year.
Right.
You know?
Especially, I hate it when they do like part 1, part 2, and then you're still waiting the breadth of you would wait for like a new movie. You know what I mean? Like, let's just make it fucking part or number 3. You know, don't make it part 2. So.
Yeah. So let's move on to some comic book talk for the rest of the show. So,
well, do you want to? I know this is a great segue into one of our articles, but we do have one more movie news or TV movie news.
Yeah, I guess we could. Yeah, we just found this out. This is definitely very interesting because, of course, it brings something to your neck of the woods.
Yeah,
in the world that people
may
not know.
An article, it's about a week old now, over on CBR. The MCU's Thunderbolts movie reportedly sets the stage for the X-Men's debut. So fans awaiting the arrival of the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe may have a lead as the upcoming Thunderbolts film contains a key plot point that could set up the titular mutant group's debut. So it's titillating. According to the Hot Mic podcast, Thunderbolts will feature a team led by Contessa Valentina that seeks to recover adamantium from Tiamat Island. So if you're an X-Men fan, you obviously know adamantium is the metal alloy that is bonded to Wolverine's claws and skeletons. So we also know we're going to be getting the return of Hugh Jackman in Deadpool 3, but this is big. I mean, it's big that you're actually saying, so what show was it? It was Captain America and Falcon, or Winter Soldier and Falcon. We saw Madripoor. That was kind of the big first one of this new like phase post Endgame where we're seeing mutants kind of like, oh, okay. So we see Madripoor Island, which is predominantly an X-Men location, right? Then we got Ms. Marvel, where we know at the end, we got the big reveal that she is a superhero with a mutation. Now, whether she's a mutant or she just has some kind of mutation, time will tell how that develops. Then moving forward, we had Black Panther Wakanda Forever, where Namor outright says he's a mutant as well. So we're getting the mutants, we're coming in, and now you're throwing in adamantium. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool that you are doing a plot point for a movie that doesn't, it's not like, hey man, this is going to be mutant centric, but guess what? You all know what this means. There's mutants coming. So it gets me pretty excited.
Because that's the movie that ends this phase, right? That's what right? I think
it's the penultimate one. I think it's the second to last one. So I don't know what happens last, what comes after that.
Kang?
But yeah, it's the penultimate for phase 6. Phase 6, is that right?
Yeah.
So 5. Yeah, and that doesn't come out till June 26, 2024. It's phase 5, penultimate for phase 5. Yeah. So I'm not sure what comes after that.
Well, hopefully we see something. even an introduction of any type of like minor character. Right? Why not? Right.
Right. Yeah. So that's cool stuff.
So let's get on to some comic book talk since Zach has graced us with some X-Men news. So kind of getting out of the Spider-Verse realm and getting into some more DC Comics news. Let's kind of talk about this article that we found over at CBR.com. So exclusive Batman White Knight writers hope for Zatanna and Catwoman spinoffs. I think this is very interesting because we've had multiple iterations right now of Sean Murphy's Batman the White Knight universe, right? We've had the Curse of the White Knight, we've had Batman Harley Quinn, we've had the Beyond the White Knight, and then we've also had the White Knight Presents Red Hood. Recently, CBR got to chat with two of the writers for the upcoming 6-issue miniseries White Knight Presents Generation Joker, and they talked about Katana Collins and Clay McCormick talk about bringing characters like Zatanna and Catwoman into the White Knight universe. So not that it's going to happen, but it would be interesting, they said, to explore these two types of characters. Quoted, I always thought about Catwoman is noticeably absent from the White Knight universe, and I don't think that just because Sean has any disinterest in the character, he explained. I just think there's a lot going on, and she's a big piece of Batman's story to just feed into other stuff that's going on. So I've always been there. A lot of potential to find out what's been going on with Catwoman. Is she an older version of Selena Kyle that you know, or is she a completely new character who's been suited to Catwoman in this White Knight universe? And Collins goes to say as the same thing. She says, for me, that spinoff would be Zatanna. I would love to do a Dark Knight or White Knight. I'm sorry, White Knight Zatanna book, because much like Catwoman, she's been very absent. Who is she? Where does she fit into this? Did she and Bruce have a relationship when they were younger, like in the cartoon? So yeah, that's a character I was always wanted to write and work on. So of course, if you don't know, this launches in May, the Sean Murphy's White Knight Presents Generation Joker, the next 6-issue miniseries, of course, collaborating with Sean Murphy. But you know, characters who have not shown up yet in this universe are a lot of the villains, right? So you have not seen Catwoman. We had Mr. Freeze. We had that one shot. Of course, Joker, Harley. But we really haven't seen too much other outside of like the Bat Family universe and the extended Bat Family universe. So Catwoman is someone who I think that we could see in the next series, whatever Sean decides to do and create, take a little time off, maybe not. And then same thing, like we had the Red Hood, you know, 2-issue miniseries. Why not throw in Zatanna for like a 2-issue miniseries or somebody else who's in the world of the Gotham Knights? So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I read the original, was the first 2 arcs of Batman the White Knight. I didn't read Beyond the White Knight.
You're missing out, man.
I know. And it was big Red Hood stuff, right? Yeah.
I definitely think Beyond the White Knight is probably the best. It's tied with the original. I wasn't a big fan of Curse of the White Knight.
That was the sequel, right?
That was the sequel, yeah. Curse of the White Knight was with Azrael, which was different. It was definitely a different take on Jean Paul Valley, but still it's up there. I just wouldn't put it as like, I wouldn't put it in order like 1, 2, and 3. I would definitely put the most recent one up there. And even the Harley Quinn was a very good storyline as well. So
yeah, I mean, if they start building this universe out, I'll probably have to like go back and go back through it. I mean, it would be great if they build it out more. I mean, this would make a great omnibus for like all the titles.
Yeah, at some point we'll get that.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I mean, it's cool stuff. You know, the one they were talking about that also intrigues me is the World's Finest White Knight. So you'd find out like where the Justice League were or are during the White Knight universe. Be very interesting. So, I mean, why not, dude? They build it out. Look, dude, if it's successful and it seems like anything Batman is, I mean, that's DC's moneymaker. Like any Batman title sells. So keep going, you know, keep going with it.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get something maybe towards the end of the year or even at San Diego Comic-Con. Sean will come out and announce what the next project is, you know, even if it comes out sometime next year. But don't forget, if you're pre-ordering books, make sure you pre-order the Generations Jokers coming out in May. So speaking of comic books, always ending our shows with how we always do with what are we currently reading. We love reading comics here on this podcast. We do read books, unlike some other channels who just kind of tell you about books, but we actually sit down and read books on a weekly basis between Zach and myself. So if you're new to the channel, you have over, 50 years of comic book knowledge wrapped into 2 brains.
Yep.
So let's kind of get started on what we're currently reading this week. Old, new, something, who knows? Big week of books. There was definitely a load of Marvel, DC, and indie stuff. So why don't you go first, my man?
Okay. Let's start with, I'm going to go reverse here where I start with like my pick of the week and then I come back to the hot garbage because there seems to be some hot garbage to talk about here. I really liked Ghost Rider 13. Ghost Rider 12, we saw the introduction, kind of Danny Ketch being brought back into the mix of the current Ghost Rider. And this one, we get a little bit more information on what's going on with him, why he's the way he is. I'm really just loving this Ghost Rider run by Benjamin Percy. I think it's amazing. Really, really good stuff. So I really like that. And then also Wolverine, this Wolverine issue this week was really good. If you're not reading, so X-Force and Wolverine are kind of like two titles that very much are together, and they're very along the lines of like Beast has pretty much broken bad, and he killed Wolverine, kind of mind wiped him, and basically was just using him as a weapon. And so Wolverine's back, and he has killed a clone of Beast, and now Beast is on his own. And things in the X-Men universe are really moving towards this realm where Beast is not a good dude by any means, and they've been pitting, like Benjamin Percy, again, the writer, has really been, his whole arc over the years has been pitting these two against each other, kind of showing them that there are different sides of the coin in a way. And it's all leading up. That's going to probably be a big battle between Beast and Wolverine, which I think is going to be awesome. So those are my picks of the week. And then my garbage, man. Oh God, there's some garbage. Where to start? First off, let's start with, I'm a big Planet of the Apes fan, okay? Mm-hmm. And so Marvel got the Planet of the Apes rights. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick up Planet of the Apes, #1. And I was pretty excited about it. And it was garbage, dude. It was just, I don't even know where they're going with it. Like, I don't know what's happening. Not that it's like confusing or anything. It just was dumb, dude. I don't know. I was really disappointed in that. And I probably won't pick up another issue of that. The other hot garbage that I got, the worst, because we'll talk about this because I know you can speak on this, is this kind of touches on somewhat what we talked about earlier. Same thing, like Justin said, we're not going to shy away from the hard topics. Boom Studios came out with the title, and this is a couple weeks old at this point, The Neighbors. And it is horrendous in like multiple levels, horrendous. Like, it's just not good. And I was excited about it because we know Boom does like these horror titles, and it had like a horror theme to it. It seemed like it was going to be real cool.
I even pre-ordered it. I talked about it months ago. And what are we currently pre-ordering? Because I was excited for it. And yeah, it was definitely not what I thought it was going to be.
It was not the story. So, I mean, even the story was like, I don't know what you're doing here. It didn't really make sense. And then it was like, I mean, social justice warrior, like checkbox comic. Like, I don't get it. It was almost like they made this comic just to show how inclusive they are, which, look, dude, like, I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. Justin and I are not promoting like negative, like non-inclusivity at all, or non-representation at all. That's not the point here. The point is when you promote it to promote it, and you take back from your stories, and it's at a cost of like the writing and whatnot. And so literally this book is about a family, and there's the wife. And then in one line, you find out the wife is married to a trans woman. So I always get confused. A trans man. She was biologically a woman. Mm-hmm. She's a man now. And her trans man husband says like, makes a comment like, well, what about your previous wife? So the original wife was also a lesbian who was married to a woman before.
It's very confusing. Very confusing reading it.
And you divorce like this, like these topics aren't confusing enough as it is, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, wait, what the fuck is going on here? And then they have 2 kids. One is a white child, and then one is, mixed race as well. And like, it was like, what the fuck is going on here? And I don't know, man. Pushing inclusivity and representation is one thing, you know what I mean? But like, here's the facts. The percentage of the LGBTQIA plus community is not as high as that, like in that comic, that's like Marvel or DC's. We talked about this, how Marvel keeps pushing these characters. Like, this is not a fair representation. That percentage wise of like these people with like, you know, cisgender is very skewed in the comics. Okay. They seem like very more predominant than they are in the real world. So I don't know. It was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
You read it. What'd you think?
Oh no, you said it all, man. I really thought it was going to be cool. It sounded like a good title. I'm probably going to just at least read like the next issue or two just to see if it goes anywhere. But yeah, man, it was just not what I expected when we were talking about pre-ordering books months ago.
Yeah, it's not. I feel like it sucks that I have to like keep saying this. Like, I have no problem with the trans community by any means, man. Do what you want to do. You're an adult. Do what you want to do. But it's like it wasn't. I didn't pick up. I don't pick up comics to read about the trans community. Unfortunately, you know, I guess maybe I should. People like, maybe you should, but no, dude, I'm picking up because I want to read a horror story. That's what it was pitched as, a horror story. And it was like light horror, heavy on inclusivity. And it's like, well, this isn't what I want. So I will not be buying this again. But there you go. That's my garbage. There was a lot this week, dude. Oh, I don't know what you're going to pick. Are you going to talk about Hidden Empire?
Nope.
Let's talk
about indie titles.
Let's talk about Hidden Empire real quick before you go in.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm glad it ended without Kira dying.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I was happy because that kind of leaves her alive in the galaxy far
I liked,
away.
yeah, the last panel was cool. How she's like still out there as the Empire falls. That was kind of cool.
I did not think that the two robed characters were going to be Luke and Leia.
Yes, that was pretty cool.
I thought they were going to be Sith or at least bad Jedi or somebody, but I really didn't see that coming at all. Like, you know, like Luke and Leia at a time where Leia is training to become a Jedi in a way.
Right. And they had found like the archivist's like information. Yeah, like, I thought that was interesting. I actually liked that aspect because they were like, I like the idea that Luke and Leia were like, holy shit, dude, this whole time we're doing the rebellion and everything, we had no idea this shit was going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it helped. Cool. And like, it kind of helped set up things like they talked. They were like, oh, well, if we didn't find this, then we wouldn't have known about the second Death Star. And
right.
I think this final issue I'd say the series was good because it showed Palpatine as a powerful character who's somebody that we don't ever see, right? Typically, if we ever see Palpatine, it's usually just fighting Vader because it's like two brothers fighting each other, you know,
like
what
a puppet master too, like calling the shots. You know,
yes, exactly. So I think Hidden Empire definitely did a better job of, you know, making him like a character who you can see is how powerful he is, one, and then just bringing him to a different level of, you know, development. Because we don't really see him, like you said, he's more of a puppeteer. We don't really see him too much, and when we do, it's just kind of like giving orders and directions. It's never actually like fighting. So, I mean, I guess this is the way you ended, and that's fine. You know, I really, if she died, I wanted to be a little bit more, you know, dramatic, right?
Yeah.
That'd have been more of a, like, Han would know and stuff like that. Obviously, in his mind, he probably does think she's dead, or even at this point, he's still in carbonite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't know. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, kind of?
I mean, I think my biggest negative takeaway from this was it really felt like for the first time, it really felt like I saw the combination of Marvel and Star Wars. And what I mean is you had an event that pitched this idea of the, what's the Fermata cage? The Fermata cage, you're all like, oh shit, is there a Sith Lord in there? Are we going to see something cool? Holy hell, you know?
Yep.
There was all this buildup, dude, like for Hidden Empire across the board, right? Like, oh, Kira has all these plans. She's brought in the Knights of Ren. She's brought in all these different people. And she's making these moves and these plays. And then in typical Marvel crossover fashion, nothing happened, right? Like nothing literally happened. Like Vader, Palpatine show up. The Fermata cage is empty. It's actually a trap. We've trapped them for all of like 2 minutes. And then the Knights of Ren come and let her out and like let them out, you know? So it was very anticlimactic. There was this whole lead up. It felt like what we talk about with all the Marvel events and crossovers. And I was disappointed, man, because I love Charles Soule. And I know it's tough, dude. It's tough with Star Wars when you're doing these stories in the vacuum of like what the larger story is. You can't
kill Vader.
You can't kill Vader. You can't have him and Palpatine like, you know, stuck or like trapped for a while. And you probably can't even have a rogue Sith Lord. But at the same time, then like, why even pitch that idea? You know, like it's a very, they trick you, man. Like they're like, oh, we might have a Sith Lord. And who the fuck doesn't want to see like an ancient Sith Lord? That shit would be cool, man. Like someone before the Rule of Two, trapped in a Fermata cage. Like, hell yeah, dude, sign me up. Fucking Revan comes out, you know, and Malik shows up. Like, that would be amazing.
Give us like a character that's going to be in the sequels, like post Return of the Jedi, right? Like, give me someone who's not shown up yet in comics, or even has shown up in comics, but like a younger version, someone who could be a threat.
Right.
Like, obviously, couldn't be Thrawn. Just give me somebody. Just give me somebody that's worth the series to read. Like, you know, it was pitched as a three story arc series, right? Return of the War of the Bounty Hunters, Crimson Dawn or Crimson Empire, and then this one, and you're just like,
the finale was, and you were right, dude. I mean, you've said it for a while now. Hidden Empire has definitely been the best of the three, but then it just like petered out, and it didn't really have anything. Like it didn't amount to anything. And even the end, like it's cool, Kira's alive, but now it's like, cool, okay, well, I guess Kira's now sitting in a dive bar, and just sits out the rest of the rebel. Like, see you later.
They killed the second Death Star, and everyone's like, "Congrats!" You know, the Empire has fallen, and you're like, "Okay." But I get it. It's kind of, we've kind of seen this before, and I didn't expect. I just don't expect grand things to happen in these series.
Right.
These 5 issues, and again, thank God it didn't really. Unlike the other 2 series, it didn't have tie-ins to the other series. Like they were by themselves. Darth Vader was by himself. Star Wars, Afra, even though Afra shows up in this, and Afra does have a connection.
She's probably the most connected.
Yeah, she definitely is the most connected. So
anyway, tell us about your picks. You got some goodies.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, I got crazy picks. So the first pick, and I probably would have never picked this up, but I saw this badass cover from Ryan Kincaid. This is from Mad Cave Studios. So you know a lot of stores do not order anything from Mad Cave Studios. So it's called Hunt, Kill, Repeat. And of course, for people that don't know, I always love reading synopsis, and I'm pretty sure after I read the synopsis, Zach's going to try to go on and buy this online. So it's Kill Bill meets Clash of the Titans in this all-new action-packed series. When the Greek gods come to Earth to rule, society is forced to hide all forms of technology that could potentially be considered heresy. However, one god, Artemis, rejects those rules and has now found solace in love with a mortal. When her brethren discover her treachery, she's called to the Olympus to answer her betrayal. There, the gods rob her of her unborn child and strip away of her godly powers. Now, 10 years later, Artemis is on a quest of revenge to confront her father, Zeus, and discover the truth about what happened to her child. Dude, you and I played God of War Ragnarok, right? So you know the Greek gods. It's pretty badass. Like, this first issue was pretty awesome. So, like, exactly like I said, like, you find out that Artemis is living with a human. She got pregnant. She's been hiding all this time. Basically, the gods rule, you know, like Olympus, New York. It's called like Olympus, New York. They all go back to praying to the gods. No technology is allowed. Like this one guy, he owns like a little food cart, and then Artemis leaves, and then all of a sudden, like the angels come, and they're like, "Oh, we heard you're trafficking technology," and they like push over his cart, and he's got like a cell phone, right? Like, it's like cool. But then like, some stuff happens, like the Kill Bill thing. She basically gets the crap kicked out of her, and then wakes up 10 years later. So, and then you find out that it is Mark London.
Mark London. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of someone else, but yeah, I mean, I like Mad Cave, man. I enjoyed Nottingham a lot.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know about this. Believe me, like my normal LCS doesn't order pretty much anything from Mad Cave, but the other shop closer to my house, he pretty much orders a lot of like random indie stuff. And I saw the cover by Ryan Kincaid, and I was just like, interesting. So I kind of picked it up. I read it, or I looked through it. I was like, oh, gods, Greek gods. I'm like, this is cool. And then again, it sets up future issues because again, there's other gods and fallen gods. So I'm expecting to see a lot of stuff that you and I have kind of known from the Greek god universe. So.
Have you seen this? I'm looking right now. Did you see this? The Salvador LaRocca cover?
I did.
That was pretty cool one.
Yeah, there were some pretty badass covers for this, but the only one,
6-issue series, it looks like, which is good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to check this out. You're right.
Yeah, again, it's you get it. That's it. Read it, and you're done with. But yeah, it was pretty badass. I definitely thought that was one of the good picks of the week for especially an indie book. And then another book that I probably would have no notice of, but thanks to our friend Sade Page. What page is it? She goes to, of course, every week she goes to their shops. She always posts on her Instagram and TikTok, you know, like when she goes to the shop, she'll show you like all these books. And she picked up this book called Hairball. And of course, you all know I'm a huge cat fan. So this is from Dark Horse Comics. Another comic book that definitely was not on my radar, but I'll read you the synopsis. So a brand new supernatural nightmare where Junji Ito meets Hayato Miyazaki.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. From the creators of Fear Case and Apache Delivery Service. A young girl with a black hat begins to suspect the anonymous beast is behind all her troubles. Her parents fighting, family plagues, and supernatural horrors. As she tries her best to rid herself of this creature, she discovers that maybe the cat is not evil after all, and a greater terror may be behind these horrific events harming her life. So, again, another cool supernatural series. I picked it up because of the cat thing, but it's pretty crazy. So, like, there's a part where the whole story is the girl, she's talking. But the way she talks is that she's kind of in therapy. Like every couple issues or every couple pages, she's just like sitting in a room, but you don't know it's like a room. She's just sitting there and she's talking to somebody.
Okay.
And of course, the person is a therapist, and she's like trying to explain to her, you know, like, well, what's been going on? And she tells her, and you know, the one thing, it's like she was sleeping at night, and this cat bit me, and the cat literally, you see it, the cat bit her, 2 fangs into her arm, and then all of a sudden, these 2 worms pop out of her arm.
Yeah.
Like wild, right? And then like later on in the series, the cat has a hairball, hacks up this hairball on like the father's like work. The father gets pissed, and then you find out later that these hairballs are kind of like a plague. That's just kind of like a little in thing. But then the cat does like stupid cat things, like pushes over things, doesn't listen to it. So, but there's reasons behind it, right? And then towards the end of the issue, you find out that when she's going to the therapist, she's like, oh, I can't tell you. And she's like, why? She's like, says the cat's name. And she's like, yeah, because I can't talk to you anymore. Like, she tells me not to talk to you. And it's just like, you're just like,
oh, okay. Son of Sam, like the dog.
Yeah, basically, like it's pretty creepy. Like I have no idea, like it, or almost like Pet Cemetery, right?
Yeah,
that's basically what it is. Like, so I definitely was, again, another one. The cat's name is Betsy. Definitely not on my radar, but of course, evil, crazy cat, like just trying to kill her family. Have no idea what's going on, and I'm just it's something new. It's something new. It's something different. It's not superheroes. So Hairball #1. I'm guessing it's just going to be a mini series. I don't know specifically, but just from this, it's from Matt Kent too. So it's from the Flux House trademark. So like obviously it's still Dark Horse, but you know, like sometimes all these big name studios, publishers have like these little side projects, kind of like how DC has their Black Label and Vertigo and stuff. So interesting stuff. Those are my 2 picks of the week. That's all I got.
Damn. Okay. Good. I'll check out one of the 2 of those.
Yeah.
The Hunt Killer,
not the cat one.
The cat one, I'm probably get past all that guy.
Well, you know what it is. Once the cat one's done, maybe I'll send you the series and you can read it, and then you can list it online.
Sounds good.
So that's it. Yeah, everybody, season 3, episode 14. Hopefully you all had a great time with us this week. For everybody who's celebrating Easter, happy Easter.
Yes,
celebrating
happy
Passover.
Easter.
Happy Passover.
Today's Good Friday, or tomorrow's Good Friday.
Yeah, we launched this on Good Friday. Of course, there's going to be tons of news dropping from Star Wars Celebration. We'll be talking about it next week. Unfortunately, we'd love to go live over the weekend, but that's not going to happen. I think that's it. Anything else?
No, yeah, just everyone. Happy Easter. Obviously, maybe not everyone supports or celebrates Easter, but you know, whatever. Enjoy the weekend with your families. It's a good weekend, and yeah, man. Hope everyone stays safe out there and read your comics, guys. God damn. What if something happens to us and we're not here to explain Hairball #1? Okay, so read your goddamn comics so you can.
We bring you different stuff. It's not always just Marvel and DC. So.
Yeah.
Got to find those weird comics. So yeah, definitely check out those titles. And again, like we said earlier in the show, we will be launching our own exclusive soon.
Yes.
As soon as we have more information, we'll be letting you know who we're collaborating with and what it is. So we're really excited. I'm super excited for it. It was something that kind of like a little bit of a passion project for both of us. We kind of wanted to do it. I'll tell you right now, it's not a do you poo. It's definitely not a whatnot publishing. So don't worry about that. Like I said, it is Star Wars related, so it's right up my alley. And I'm just happy to be putting out a variant cover that I will support fully. So that's it, everybody. So. Yeah, exactly. We're trying. Again, we're not going super big. We don't have the money to do Marvel, DC stuff. You know,
you keep saying that, but like that's not. We have the money. We can do that.
I can just sell.
I don't want people thinking we're poor here. We have the money, bro. Like,
all right. So our 3,000 print run, that 3,000 print run, you ready to do this?
We're just not interested in doing a 3,000 print run. Exactly. You know what I don't want is 1,500 fucking comics in my house that I'm trying to get rid of. That's what I don't fucking want, dude. I'm literally trying to get rid of all the comics I have already. I don't need 1,500 to split with you.
The wife's going to be like, what are you doing? Are you using this for the baby?
Dude, I still got
on the wallpaper.
I still got like 30 issues of Dreamwalker left. I still got to get rid of. So yeah,
I've been selling that, man.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Later.